I'm back with Debbie Altham. Debbie is the Senior Director of Technology here at Sikich and the author of Preparing the Business Case of our guide. So, Debbie, just to jump in, I'd assume this is probably one of the most critical parts of getting your ERP project going, trying to get that executive buy-in. What key elements do you need to include as you're preparing your business case?
So yeah, it is probably the most important thing. No project's going to happen if you don't at least justify it. So there are two really main areas. It's why are we doing this and what is it going to cost us? So those are the two, everything can pretty much get into those two buckets. The why are we doing this is looking at the business value that you're going to be able to attribute by your investment in the new software, as well as the reduction in business risk that you're going to enjoy from implementing, both of which are a little difficult to put numbers on. And then on the other side of the equation, you really need to know exactly how much it's going to cost you, and not just the project, but in terms of the life of the system. So you tend to look at value and you tend to look at costs in a broader spectrum than just the implementation project. You're looking at generally 3, 5 years, 10 years. Some people go out as far as 10 years.
Okay, so you take a really deep dive into total cost of ownership within this section. Give us a high-level view of some of those costs that you need to include in this calculation.
Well, Nicole, a lot of it is not the obvious ones. So, and that might be you go out, you find your partner, you say, how much are you going to charge me to do this? And, everyone knows that that's what it's going to cost. It's going to cost the cost of the software as well as the cost of the partner to provide the services. Where a lot of people misstep is a couple of other things. One is the decommissioning of their old systems. The other one is I haven't frozen, I've just forgotten. The other one is the internal cost. So the cost of your people, the cost of putting your own resources to focus on a project, and you're taking them away from their day-to-day jobs. And I think it's really important to think of this in terms of not only the costs that are immediately obvious. And a good example is when your partners will send you a proposal with the costs in, they're really only going to think about their revenue. So they are only going to look at the things that they're going to bill you for. But it is quite possible, quite probable that there will be other parties to this For example, although these days I'm not so sure, airlines, you've got your travel and accommodation. Partners often don't provide an estimate for that. These days we might have a big fat zero. Great time to be doing projects as we all work out our methodology in terms of how we do it remotely. But I would say understanding the internal cost is something that's pretty important that a lot of people miss.
So you also mentioned that it's pretty difficult to quantify some of the business benefits, or as you dub it, the value side of the equation. What types of metrics should our viewers be looking to include?
Just because it's difficult doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It's really hard. Measures like productivity, are you going to be able to increase your revenue by 20% without hiring new people? That is, you're going to be able to do more with less resources or less investment. How much more productive are your people going to be by using the system to automate and do things more efficiently, maybe lower the error rate? This is really tricky stuff to put a number against, but I think it's worth the challenge. And I think it's worth the challenge for one specific reason, is that from the time that you do the business case all the way through the delivery of the project, everyone involved needs to keep their eyes on those benefits. The person who's configuring your accounts receivable, for example, and the person who is working out whether that configuration is good should actually understand what business benefits you are seeking to get out from a strategy perspective from that piece of the puzzle. So I would say that, productivity, what's the benefit of making decisions faster? How can you measure the benefit of making a faster decision? You know, there might be inventory holding costs that you're reducing because you are being able to use the system to make, you know, reasoned judgment on when you need to order more product, and therefore you're ordering less and you're got a lower holding cost for your inventory. You know, there are things like that that are quite measurable. What I would recommend is taking the ideas of, you know, what those business benefits are, really having a go at trying to measure them so it hones everyone's attention on them. Whether or not the millions of dollars or 3-month payback that people may promise is actually going to be realized, I can tell you one thing: it's not going to be realized if people don't know those are the benefits you're looking for. So I would say it is absolutely worthwhile doing that. Those benefits. Try and put some numbers against them. Things like productivity, faster decision making, you know, more efficient use of resources, assets, for example. Streamlining customer order processing, therefore streamlining, reducing costs. It's a really good idea to put them all together. The other thing in terms of a presentation is it doesn't and it can't be all quantitative. Think very hard about doing a qualitative matrix. You know, this is the qualitative data that we've collected in terms of the benefits that companies, you know, accrue as part of this. I think it's easy to just revert to the numbers, but particularly when the numbers need a little bit of some voice behind them, having that presentation of the qualitative reasons, benefits that are going to accrue to the business is really important.
Awesome. Thank you, Debbie.